So, good day everyone, especially to Architect Mika. I'm Ray Allen A. Oreo, the leader of Group 7.4, and we are here to discuss about the new capitals, namely Chandigarh, a capital city in India, or a planned city of India. To begin, we are Group 7.4, which consists of 8 members, namely Oreo, Cambonga, Lazara, Mendoza, Figueredo, Pragados, Usman, and Villaveles. Chandigarh draws its name from the temple of Chandi Mandir, which is located near the city's designated site. Chandigarh is noted for having a rich culture, a fascinating history, and wonderful people. It is also considered one of the greatest experiments in urban planning and modern architecture carried out in India throughout the 28th century. Now that we have a basic overview of Chandigarh, what is then the detailed story of its origin and etymology?
Next part will be the etymology of Chandigarh. Chandigarh is a compound of Chandi and Gar. Chandi, which is also called Chandika, the demon destroying form of the Hindu goddess Shakti, particularly popular in eastern India. She is known by various names such as Mahamaya or Great Magic or Abhaya, quote, she who is without fear. Chandi's representation of the Durga is another form of Shakti. The Gar's definition to a compound with Chanti is called fort or fortress, which is why Chandigarh's name meaning is a stronghold of the goddess Chandi, which is derived from the Chandi Mandir, an ancient temple devoted to the Hindu goddess Chandi near the city in Panchkula district. A mandir is a home to God as represented by the deities singled out for honor within the building's inner sanctum. The mandir is believed to embody divinity with the ornamental gavashkas or windows. It is located on NH5 Chandigarh-Kalka Highway in Panchkula city of Haryana state of India. Chandi Mandir lies in the Chandi Mandir cantonment, which is home of Western Commandment of the Indian Army.
The history of Chandigarh. So to start, the history of Chandigarh starts in 1947 with the partition of India in the old British province of Punjab was divided into two parts. The larger western part, including the Punjabi capital of Lahore, went to Pakistan while the eastern part was granted to India. So in 1948, shortly after the partition, preparations were made to locate the new Indian Punjab's capital. The Indian government considered several options, including Amritsar, Jalandhar, and others, and then finally selected the present site of Chandigarh. And later on, Chandigarh became a symbol of modernity and would heal the wounded pride of Indian Punjabis, and would house thousands of mostly Hindu and Sikh refugees who had fled from Muslim-dominated Pakistan. Also, in 1949, after acquiring the site for the new capital, Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru took it as an opportunity to show the world what the cities of modern independent India would look like, in which he hired architect and planner Albert Mayer, who was close to India and has worked as an engineer with the US Army in India during World War II. Albert Mayer, joined by Matthew Navicki, was tasked to design the new capital Chandigarh, in which they have made a fan-shaped master plan for the new capital. Then in 1950, they stopped the development of the plan because unfortunately on the 31st August of 1950, while Matthew Nowicki was traveling from USA to India for the project, the TWA Flight 903 crashed near Etay, 55 miles from Cairo, Egypt, which eventually led Matthew Nowicki to his death. On the other hand, Albert Mayer decided to stop planning for the project of Chandigarh due to his architect and partner Matthew Nowicki died. So after the incident, which led to the halt of the development of the new capital Chandigarh, government officials recruited Le Corbusier, in which he took over in designing the new capital. With the initiative of Le Corbusier, he made use of Albert Mayer and Matthew Nowicki's master plan and further developed it with providing a gridiron pattern and related it to the human body, then divided the city into sectors. Then, the constructions commenced in early 1950s and most of the city was completed in the early 1960s. So that's all for the history of Chandigarh.
And now, let us proceed to discuss the geography of Chandigarh city. Chandigarh is a city in the Union Territory in northern India, located at the foothills of the Shivalik mountain range, which is situated surrounding its right side, as seen in the photo attached here. It is the capital of two neighboring states, Punjab and Haryana. Punjab, a state bordering Pakistan, is the heart of India's Sikh community, while Haryana is a North Indian state surrounding New Delhi on three sides. Chandigarh city also spans 114 square kilometers and sits at an altitude of 304 meters above sea level. Chandigarh is situated in a plain between the rivers Gagar and Sutlej, featuring vast flat and fertile land, with Babar in the northeast and Terai throughout the rest of its terrain. Next, regarding the city's climate, Chandigarh has a humid subtropical climate, which is characterized by hot summers and cool winters. The city experiences four distinct seasons. These are winter, spring, summer, and monsoon. The winter season, from December to February, is chilly and foggy, with temperatures ranging from 5 to 15 degrees Celsius. The city receives occasional rainfall during this season, which helps to clear the air and reduce pollution. The spring season, from March to April, is pleasant with temperatures ranging from 15 to 25 degrees Celsius. The weather is sunny and dry, making it a popular time for tourists to visit the city. The summer season, from May to June, is hot and humid, with temperatures ranging from 30 to 40 degrees Celsius. The heat can be intense, and it is recommended to avoid going out during the midday hours. However, the evenings are relatively cooler and more pleasant. The monsoon season, from July to September, is characterized by heavy rainfall and high humidity. The city receives an average of 1,000 millimeters of rainfall during this season, which helps to bring down the temperature and cool the city. Overall, the climate of Chandigarh is influenced by its location in the foothills of the Himalayas, as well as its proximity to the Thar Desert. The city experiences extreme temperatures and varying levels of humidity throughout the year, which can make it challenging to plan outdoor activities. So, following this discussion would be the culture of Chandigarh city.
So now let us briefly talk about the culture of Chandigarh. Chandigarh is a land of fairs and festivals, and like the Indian culture that it has, it celebrates different festivals all throughout the entire year. And since it is the capital of both Punjab and Haryana, it has a fusion of two different Indian subcultures as well. Like the rest of India, the most prominent religions there are Sikhism and Hinduism. And the disposition there are diverse, they're sociable, they're friendly, and you could see that manifest later on in their architecture, as well as even the layout of the city, because you could see a lot of communal spaces there, open spaces, which we will tackle on further later.
Alright, to further understand urban design or planning around Chandigarh, let us first understand the master plan created by Le Corbusier for the Chandigarh. Le Corbusier conceived the plan of Chandigarh as analogous to human body, with a clearly defined head, the capital complex or the sector 1, the heart, which is the city center, which is also known as Sector 17, the lungs, which are the leisure valley, innumerable open spaces, and of course the sector greens, the intellect, which are the cultural centers and educational institutions, and the circulatory system, which are the network of roads known to be the 7Bs, and lastly the viscera, which is the industrial area of Chandigarh. The concept of the city is based on 4 major functions, which are living, working, care of the body and spirit, and of course circulation. Residential sectors constitute the living part, whereas the capital complex, the city center, educational zone, which are the postgraduate institute, Punjab Engineering College, Punjab University, and of course the industrial area, which constitutes the working part. The leisure valley, the sector greens, and the open courtyards, or all of the greeneries created around Chandigarh, are for the care of the body and spirit. The circulation system comprises the 7 different types of roads known as 7Bs, as I have said earlier. Later on, the plan continues to grow. There is the 8th road added, which is the 7-8, which is a pathway for cyclists. This is how Le Corbusier created and planned the whole structure of Chandigarh and introduced it to people around it. To further understand the plan of Mr. Le Corbusier for Chandigarh, let us go into detail first of how the body is modeled as the system for Chandigarh, and let us distinguish each part of the body. Alright, first the capital complex comprises 3 architectural masterpieces. First is the Secretariat, the second is the High Court, and third, the Legislative Assembly. These 3 architectural pieces are separated by large piazzas. In the heart of that capital complex, or the head, there stands a giant metallic sculpture of an open hand, which is the official emblem of the city of Chandigarh, signifying the city's credo or motto, which is open to give in and open to receive. The city's center, or the heart, which is the Sector 17, is the center of all Chandigarh's activities. It comprises the interstate bus terminal, the parade ground. On the other hand, located are the plazas and shopping centers. On the other hand are those courtrooms, courthouses, and other government facilities. Moving on to the other part of the body model is the lungs. So ample areas have been provided in the master plan of the capital for parks. Out of a total area of 20,000 acres acquired for the first phase, about 2,000 acres are meant for the development of parks. Examples of parks are the Leisure Valleys, Legendre Park, Bougainvillea Park, Saki Rose Garden, Chantikunj Hibiscus Garden, Garden of Fragrance, Botanical Garden, Smriti Ampavan, Tupiari Garden, and Terrace Garden are one or some of those famous parks around Chandigarh. Sukna Lake, Rock Garden, Government Museum, and Art Gallery are the major tourist attractions of Chandigarh, also created for the part of lungs. For the circulatory system, these are the roads. One unique feature in the layout of Chandigarh is its roads, classified in accordance with their functions. An integrated system of 7 roads was designed to ensure efficient traffic circulation. Corbusier referred to this as the 7 V's. Mr. Corbusier found out that the 7 V's run northeast and southwest, which are the paths. The horizontal roads run northwest and southwest, which is the march. They intersect at the right angles, forming the grid or the network for the movement. This arrangement of road use leads to the remarkable hierarchy of movement, which also ensures the residential areas are segregated from the noise and the pollution of traffic. The industrial area comprises 2.35 square kilometers set aside in the master plan for non-polluting light industry on the extreme southeastern side of the city near the railway line, as far away from those of the educational sectors and the capital complexes as possible. Le Corbusier doesn't want this to be mixed up to avoid inconvenient circumstances, of course. Tree plantation and landscaping has been also an integral part of the city's master plan. 26 different types of flowering plants and 22 species of evergreen trees has been planted along the railroads, in parking areas, shopping complexes, residential areas, and of course in city parks to ameliorate the harsh climate of the region, especially during the hot and scorching summer. So Le Corbusier designed a place wherein residential areas are separated from that, not only to ensure healthy climate, but of course to ensure the safety and just to ensure convenience around the city. Though educational and cultural and medical facilities are spread all over the city, however, major institutions are located in sectors 10, 11, 12, 14, and 26 to ensure that the city's residential area is far from those areas, to ensure non-pollution and to ensure safety and sanitation around the area. To further understand the difference between Myers and Le Corbusier's plans, let us discuss first both the advantage and disadvantage of Le Corbusier's plan to that of Chandigarh. The advantages are it has legible layout because of the grid pattern it creates. Of course, it is very practical as a growth model for the future. And third, it is very modern and relevant. Whereas, on the other hand, disadvantages are it is very sterile or polarizing, it imposes social order, and last but not the least, it has less mobility. Of course, critics say that Chandigarh was not built according to the context of India's culture, and that Le Corbusier just imposed his modernist principles or thoughts without considering the needs, wants, and the lifestyle of Indian people, which is, for me, very understandable, for us very understandable. That's why people from India wanted Le Corbusier's plan to be suited according to their culture. For us as an architect, Le Corbusier thought that it is much greater to create a plan if that plan is very sustainable and if that plan is very in accordance for growth and for the future. And Le Corbusier wants a structured plan wherein it separates people from where they rest, from where they work, and from where they learn, which is for Indian people not very suitable for their lifestyle because culturally they are not really used to being imposed with social boundaries. They want to be united, or they're not really into separations. Le Corbusier first thought is he wants to create an organized system wherein inconvenience are far from that of the normal living of Indian people. So that is the urban planning thought by Le Corbusier for Chandigarh.
Architectural buildings in Chandigarh. Martyrs Memorial in Chandigarh. Le Corbusier produced this idea to pay tribute to those who lost their lives defending India's freedom. This is a representation of the end of the British Empire in India. In its architectural design, it uses mythological symbols and sculptures of lions, snakes, men, and debris. Next is the House of Jeanneret, Pierre Jeanneret. Pierre Jeanneret owned the very first house constructed in Chandigarh. Sector 5 Sukna Lake is directly across from it. As a museum today, this house retells Jeanneret's artistic brilliance. Gandhi Bhavan. Designed by Pierre Jeanneret, this is situated in Chandigarh campus of Punjab University. A library, auditorium, and conference rooms are housed inside. Le Corbusier Center. Le Corbusier and his staff's workplace. Historically, it was the point from which Chandigarh was also planned. This shows the importance for comprehending the formal, aesthetic, and technological underpinnings of modern architecture. Garden of Silence, a tranquil area for meditation created by Chandigarh administration. This is Chandigarh's newest monument as of today.
Last but not the least is the Tower of Shadows by Le Corbusier in Chandigarh. The building is positioned precisely on the north-south axis, comfortably interrupting the strict symmetry of the massive square that serves as a base for the careful study of the movement of the sun and how it casts shadows. The Tower of Shadows has no solid walls and is very airy, but you will be amazed at how the sun rays don't enter the building at all. The concrete slab design is designed to cast perfect shadows within the monument. Now that we all know the famous architectural buildings seen in Chandigarh, let's now know who and what are the famous architects in Chandigarh.
Alright, so here's the famous architects in Chandigarh, which is one of them is architect Ranukana, and she is an architect and a filmmaker. She is also the leading architect in India. She is famous for her experiential and motif architecture, and she is known for infusing her soul in all of her projects. And their project will be monumental memorials, museums, airports, corporate offices, housing, transport, resorts, and most of her projects have been published and awarded just like other architects. And the next one would be architect Bhupinder Suri, which is the heart and the brain of Architect Suri and Associates. And architect Bhupinder Suri did his bachelor's in architecture from Chandigarh College of Architecture in the year of 1974, and he worked at various government postings before founding the Architect Suri and Associates architectural firm. And the next one would be architect Himanshu Suri, the young and dynamic co-founding member, and he graduated from Chitkara School of Planning and Architecture in 2009 before he turned to the catalyst of Architect Suri and Associates. And the next one would be Architect Priya Gupta, which is one of the youngest in the team of Architect Suri and Associates architectural firm, and she has been a close associate ever since he graduated, and work on a variety of projects that have gained recognitions through her constant dedication and focus and creativity. And the next one would be architect Gagan Chanduk. This architect is a postgraduate from Arizona's State University, USA, and she is licensed architect and has been practicing since past 12 years. and with passion for solving design problems and approaching architecture and planning with innovative ideas, she joined the Chanduk and Associate Architectural Firm. She is now the principal architect of this architectural firm in 2009. And also, she is able to integrate research findings about impact of colors, just like what you see on their projects to the pictures. And the next one would be architect Badrinath Kaleru and architect Prerna Kaleru. And they are the duo and founded the studio Ardete in 2010. And they are like, their famous quote would be "Space is more." Like the one who's famous the quote "Less is more," which is architect Ludwig Mies van der Rohe. This duo is famous to their quote "Space is more" because they believe that built spaces need to celebrate the human existence or the life itself. They're also fond of Zaha Hadid, which is one of the famous architects in the world. And the last one will be the architects in Tapar and Associates. And they're the best architects in Chandigarh also, and they provide the complete solution of indoor and outdoor architecture with complete Vastu. And the employees in Tapar and Associates architectural firm all were experienced in Vastu and architecture.
So, I hope that you're able to learn something in our presentation, and thank you for listening.